The tale begins with Jun-woo, a gamer and streamer, finding himself alone at home after waking up. His family, father, mother, and sister, have all left for their daily routines. He settles in for a gaming session, but soon his friends urge him to switch on the TV. Upon doing so, he discovers alarming news about a bizarre disease that is swiftly spreading throughout the nation. Just then, his phone blares an emergency alert. Peering out from his balcony, he witnesses chaos unfolding below as the disease transforms people into zombie like creatures that attack and devour the uninfected. Panic grips the streets as people flee in terror, plunging the city into turmoil. Suddenly, a loud banging at his door catches his attention, and in a moment of naivety, he opens it. A frantic man bursts in, claiming to be his neighbor from Unit 403. Sensing something is off, Jun-woo attempts to usher him out, but the man begs to use the bathroom. While the man is inside, Jun-woo watches the news, which details the symptoms and cannibalistic behavior of the infected. When the man finally emerges, Jun-woo instinctively grabs a knife. The man insists he's uninfected and pleads to stay, but then he begins to bleed from his eyes and turns aggressive. Jun-woo narrowly manages to force him out of the apartment to avoid becoming a victim. He quickly assesses the situation and uses the fridge to barricade the door, then tries to reach out to his family, but his efforts are in vain. When he finally gets a message from his mother reassuring him that they are safe and encouraging him to stay put, he feels a bit of relief. Realizing he'll be cooped up in the apartment for a while, he starts to ration his supplies, but it's a challenge since there isn't much to begin with. The next day, he wakes up to find that nothing has changed. He still can't reach his family. He discovers that the internet is buzzing with survivors sharing their situations and posting their addresses in hopes of rescue. So Junwoo decides to add his own message. Being tech savvy, he connects his phone to a drone to check out the area. He sees that nearly all the residents of his apartment complex have turned into zombies. When the drone reaches a certain altitude, it picks up a signal, and he tries to call his family again, but he has to stop when he notices the drone's battery is running low. Frustrated, he thinks about gaming to pass the time, but soon the internet goes down too. With nothing else to occupy him, he opts to go to sleep. He's jolted awake by a loud noise and looks outside, spotting a policewoman fleeing from one of his infected neighbors. In a reckless moment, Junwoo yells to try to scare the zombies away from hundreds of meters off while the policewoman is being attacked. Instead of helping her, his shouting draws the attention of a zombie lurking near his apartment. A zombie forces its way into his apartment by shoving the door against the refrigerator. He narrowly escapes by tricking the zombie into leaping out the window. Although he comes away unscathed, the encounter has left him with even less food as the contents of the fridge spill across the floor. After fixing the door, he records another video to boost his spirits. The next morning, he finds himself with no option but to have breakfast with his father's liquor. Learning from his previous mistakes, he seals off the entire balcony. While watching a ramen noodle commercial on TV, he can't resist eating his last remaining food. As he enjoys the final noodles in the house, he accidentally knocks over his last bottle of water. To his dismay, he discovers that the tap water has also stopped running, forcing him to lick the spilled water off the table. It has now been 15 days since he locked himself inside the apartment. Cut off from social interaction and relying solely on alcohol, he begins to hallucinate about reuniting with his family. Overcome with emotion, he curls up on the floor. He is jolted awake by a call from his mother, but the connection is so poor that he can barely make out her words. He steps out onto the balcony to get a better signal and senses that something is amiss with his family. Frustrated, he starts breaking things in his apartment before heading outside to unleash his anger on the zombies. This reckless decision quickly comes back to haunt him as he finds himself nearly overwhelmed by a swarm of zombies. He barely makes it back into his apartment, feeling utterly defeated. In despair, he contemplates ending his own life before the zombies can reach him. Just as Junwoo hangs from a cable he fashioned, a laser beam suddenly shines from the building across the street. Spotting a woman in an apartment, he waves enthusiastically, and she responds with a wave, signaling him to reach out again at 7 a.m. the following day. With the discovery of another survivor, his will to live is reignited. Unlike Junwoo, the woman appears well prepared, having turned her apartment into a fortress of traps for the undead. The next morning, Junwoo oversleeps and wakes up at 11 a.m. He apologizes with gestures and writes his name on his phone. The woman introduces herself as Yubin in return. After chatting for a bit, Yubin hears a noise at her door. She reminds Jun-woo to reach out again at 7 a.m. the next day. As she investigates the sound, she discovers that one of her traps has caught a zombie that had entered her home, and she swiftly dispatches it with an axe. The following morning, at the agreed time, Yubin attempts to send food to Jun-woo, noticing he looks hungry. She ties a rope to a baseball and throws it over, but it lands in the street instead of reaching him. In response, Jun-woo uses his drone to send a rope to Yubin. With this makeshift rope bridge, she successfully delivers a container of snacks and a bottle of water to him. As he expresses his thanks to Yubin, he notices that the ball with the rope, which had failed to cross, has inadvertently become a ladder for one of the zombies to reach Yubin's apartment. Jun-woo quickly signals this to her, but she can't react in time and gets struck by the table where she had tied the rope. He uses his drone to divert the zombie's attention. Although the zombie manages to destroy the drone, it gives Yubin just enough time to chop off the zombie's hand, causing it to tumble down. She escapes with only a slight bruise on her stomach. Afterwards, she tidies her apartment and reads Jun-woo's encouraging message from across the street. Running low on supplies, Jun-woo decides to scavenge another apartment unit for any leftover items. He successfully finds some food and 2 walkie-talkies before making a hasty return to his own place. That night, he enjoys the delicious treasures he gathered. He sends back the container Yubin gave him, filled with food and one of the walkie-talkies. With the walkie-talkie, they can finally communicate properly. Jun-woo feels a rush of excitement as they chat more. He expresses his gratitude to Yubin for saving him during his darkest moment. Unbeknownst to him, Yubin had also faced similar struggles before. To celebrate this small victory, they share a meal of ramen noodles while getting to know each other better. During their conversation, Jun-woo suggests that Yubin bring out basins to collect rainwater, as he hears heavy sounds outside and suspects it might be raining. They peer out from the balcony, only to find that it isn't raining. Instead, a swarm of zombies is charging toward both apartment buildings for reasons unknown. They quickly drop to the floor, trying to remain quiet, but Yubin accidentally topples a shelf in her apartment. Realizing that her place will soon be overrun, she tells Jun-woo she plans to leave and head to the empty 8th floor of his building. They agree to go together and get ready. Yubin bravely leaps down from her balcony using a rope, skillfully dodging the zombies below. Along the way, she grabs a gun that a policewoman had dropped earlier. Jun-woo rushes out to assist her, and they narrowly escape being surrounded as they hop into the elevator to reach the 8th floor. As expected, the 8th floor is deserted, and they attempt to enter one of the apartments. However, their moment of peace is shattered when a zombie suddenly appears, followed by a horde. Just as they're about to be overwhelmed, a mysterious man pulls them into his apartment. Initially cautious of him, they soon feel relief when he shares food from his seemingly endless supplies. They finally have a moment to unwind, but their relief is short-lived when they realize the food has been laced with drugs. The man is planning to offer them as a meal to his wife that has been turned into a zombie. Yubin wakes up restrained and trapped in a room with the zombie wife. Meanwhile, Jun-woo regains consciousness and struggles to keep the rope that binds the zombie wife in check. The atmosphere in the room suddenly falls silent, prompting the man to unlock the door. In an instant, the zombie wife lunges at him and bites him. Out of love, the man allows her to consume him, not wanting her to go hungry. Yubin, desperate to end their pain, fires a gun at them, but this only attracts more zombies. With no escape in sight, they resolve to take their own lives before the zombies reach them. Just as they are about to pull the trigger, they hear the sound of a rescue helicopter nearby. Filled with renewed hope, they fight their way to the rooftop, only to discover that the helicopter has vanished. The zombies follow them up, closing in slowly. They run out of ammunition while standing at the building's edge. Just when it seems they will be overwhelmed by the horde, the rescue helicopter reappears, firing at the zombies and pulling them to safety. Inside the helicopter, Jun-woo finally gets a signal and receives a message from his family, assuring him they are safe. They can finally relax and enjoy the breeze as they fly away together to safety. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications for more content like this. Thank you for watching.